Hi, my name is Ash. My real name is Ashok Malasar, but I'm not no so just call me Ash. And today, I wanted to share with you all a really interesting story. So the Business Insider had covered a story on April 13, revealing that the CEO and founder of Gravity Payments had risen his 120 employees' minimum wage to $70,000. Imagine if your boss gave you a $70,000 raise. That'd be amazing. I think we'd all be ecstatic and wish he was our boss as well. Now, he did this because he wanted to get a conversation started. A conversation that we need to desperately talk about within our generation. And it's about the problem of income inequality. Now today, I'm not going to be talking to you all about the same thing we hear every day. Raise the minimum wage, raise the minimum wage. I'm going to be talking to you about a different solution, which I believe is part of a bigger solution. I'm going to be talking to you all about a maximum wage. Now, a maximum wage is simply a salary cap, like what they have in pro sports, like sort of a ceiling that no one can, you can't make more than X. And first, I'll be talking to you all about the growing income inequality that's throughout our country and throughout most of the world, but mainly our nation that we're suffering from. And then I'll be talking about the faltering standard of living, how it's decreased. Now, first, income inequality exists. I hate to burst some of your bubbles, but it's real. And we know this because of the World Top Income Database, a database created by the Paris School of Economics, which is conducted by all this international research, revealed that 80% of America's wealth, our wealth, isn't even owned by us. Most of our wealth is controlled by the 1 to 10% bracket. Now, if that's not income inequality, I don't know what is. So, another thing is we know that the income inequality is connected to the standard of living in our country, the quality of living in our country. Now, income inequality is directly related because we know this as well. According to the Fraser Institute of the Economic Freedom of the World 2014 annual report, revealed this, saying that economic variables like income inequality is correlated to the standard of living in a country. Now, knowing that the income inequality in our country does affect the way we live, then it shows that there is also a faltering standard of living. Our standard of living is decreasing. In fact, a survey done by the Current Population Survey, an annual social and economic supplement, revealed that about 50 million Americans live in poverty today. 50 million. Now this has increased since 2007 by 2.8%. Now, the maximum wage would definitely help control that income inequality. So how it would control it? What we understand is that, according to the Wage Statistic Database, that the top 1% has received a 138% increase in wages, while we, the bottom 90, only received 15% in the past 30 years. So, knowing this, if we were to limit that exponential growth that the 1% has experienced throughout this past 30 years, we would inherently control the situation, passing on the wealth around. It's for everyone to get. Now, the maximum wage would also help increase the standard of living because it would effectively help situate the income inequality problem that's going around. We know that the reduction of income inequality would turn better the standard of living due to the Fraser Institute's Economic Freedom of the World report done in 2014. We know this. So this brings me to the naysayers. They say that the maximum wage wouldn't work. It's a crazy solution to a really crazy problem, which I disagree. Now, I wanted to quote Faiza Shaheen, a senior researcher on economic inequality at the New Economics Foundation, had this to say about those specific naysayers. She said that beyond the costs to society, academic evidence shows that once people earn an annual wage above $80,000, their well-being grows by very little. Thus, a maximum wage would help both businesses and society without damaging the well-being or the well-off. So, in conclusion, a maximum wage would help equalize a very unequal system, a very unequal income wage system. And on top of that, it would help increase our standard of living that we have today. Thank you very much.
Okay, I know what the topic is, that this concept of a maximum wage. You've got an example that you're talking about. It's not very clear what your proposition is. You don't really say where you're going with this. The argument ought to be, pretty straightforward. A maximum wage would result in reduced income inequality, or a maximum wage would substantially benefit the economy. It's not that complicated to say, but the way you present it at the beginning, you don't really get to what the claim is. We just know that that's a subject. You've got an example of somebody who's tried something like that, and then the speech turns out to focus mainly on income inequality. I didn't hear a reference to the maximum wage again until the end, when you try to defend it against some hypothetical criticism instead of demonstrating that it would actually do something. The argument about income inequality, I think, is a little bit clearer. Basically, you suggest that income inequality exists, that it is responsible for some of the weaknesses in the economic situation or the standard of living that people are focusing on. And then there's a vague reference on that last point that says a maximum wage would address that issue. I think that that's probably the weakest part of the argument. The strongest part of the argument is in those first 2 points, a demonstration that income inequality exists. It's not that hard to demonstrate that. You had good data on those kinds of things. It seems to come from reliable sources. The bigger issue is the notion that income inequality has an impact on people's economic standard of living. That was the thing that I think was a little bit more problematic. I think you need better evidence on that point. You basically have a correlation that you're talking about, because we've had a growth in income inequality, and at the same time we had a growth in the amount of poverty, that there must be some explanation or some linkage between those types of things. And I think that that is a big step to infer. There could be a lot of explanations for economic weakness, and you don't address any of them. You want to lay it all at the feet of income inequality, and I don't think you've got quite as strong an argument on that relationship as you think you do. The existence of income inequality, that you have good proof on. It's that second part that needs to be developed a little bit more. The presentation is generally solid, although you do have a little bit of anxiety coming out in your body pacing. You're walking around back and forth a little bit, and that's something that you want to control. If it was a public speaking class, we'd be addressing those issues a little bit more. Sorry that we don't have time to get to all of those things as well. Thank you.